You mentioned that there's not much character development. It's a very interesting story in that way, the way that we get this slice of warfare. So, moving to Kit, how was that for you, having to jump into this character, jump into this seal, with not really much to go on, and you're doing this one scene? And like, how did you bring that character to the screen?
Yeah, I mean, it's very far from anything I've done before, and you know the kind of environment I grew up in and exist in now. So it was. We had a 3.5 week boot camp, which was kind of invaluable for us in terms of like forming a bond and forming a brotherhood with each other, and you know doing the technical stuff. And Ray and Shipwreck, they were both great teachers in terms of kind of teaching us the physical aspects, the training aspects, the type of vernacular that we might need to use. Yeah, I mean, it's the experience that we had in the boot camp and during shooting was nothing in comparison to what we were trying to replicate, but it gave us an idea of the type of feelings, a fraction of the type of feelings that we might have for one another. And yeah, I think that's really the best way to put it.
And I picked up that you're the new guy, at least in that. So, you know, having that, like, facing that camaraderie, being the new guy in this, how did that impact your performance?
Well, I got to speak to the guy that I was playing, to the guy my character's based on. So that was one of the questions I asked him, you know, in terms of, did it feel like you were the youngest, and did that feel like an aspect in the environment you were in? And he told me that obviously the fact that there were different age groups did have a slight aspect. For the most part, though, it was just like if they trusted you to have their back, then it was as simple as that, you know, and they were all brothers. And yeah, I think I was the youngest in the cast, and that, whether I really noticed it or not, probably did have an impact. But yeah, I mean, I think we all felt like equals, and I think that kind of comes across in the film. They haze a little bit and they kind of take a nick. But there's a real, I think the love is still very much there, just as it is kind of throughout all of them.
And they rehearsed it over and over and over. They had to, you know, make certain things longer, compress certain things, but they had to get certain, for each character, he had to do a certain thing in that time. And that's just how we approached all of this. So yeah, a lot of rehearsals until we just got it down almost to the second.
And Kit, how exhausting was that for you? I imagine you're carrying this massive machine gun, it seems, in this film. And so, how was that?
I mean, yeah, that was something that in the training process, it was a real factor for me, because I knew that I would have to be able to carry that gun the whole way through, and especially as Maria said, we'd be doing like 10 to 15 minute takes, so you couldn't put it down. You know, we'd often spend days where I spent the whole scene just locking off the door and having my gun through the door, which was, again, you know, this is the actor in me, but it was tiring, you know, it was tough. So that was where training came in. But in terms of the rehearsal process and kind of locking down those details in the scenes, it kind of became like a dance. And I suppose the challenge in that was trying to keep it fresh and keep the intensity, keep it real. We quickly came to the conclusion that there would be a room camera, so a lot of the time we wouldn't be on camera, but we quite quickly set the standard of everyone on that set, if the camera was rolling, whether they were on camera or not, would be giving it 100%. You know, because if it was Charles's coverage, let's say, I wanted to make sure that if he looked at me in that scene, that he wasn't taken out of it, and that he saw Tom, that was probably one of the biggest challenges as an actor that I think a lot of us faced. But it was also a great challenge.
I also feel like there's a lot of compartmentalization going on, because, you know, you're running through these motions, but you can see your face on the screen, you're crying, or something's going on where it's like you can see the emotional toll on these characters, on these seals. And so conveying both of those, how is that?
Well, I mean, it was different for, I think, all of us in terms of the characters that we were playing. You know, as you say, I was playing the newcomer, the guy who was the most green, and from everyone's kind of, you know, everyone that I spoke to who was there, including myself, you know, my character had a grenade go off right next to him, and was just not as experienced in the field, so his emotions were a lot more, I think, visible. And you look at some other characters like, I don't know, like Ray, for example, is a lot more stoic throughout the majority of the film in comparison to my portrayal. And I think that in a similar way to how the Call sequence at the beginning kind of shows you the different characters and sort of the way that they exist among each other, I think that our different portrayals also kind of add the humanity towards on the page.